over a bridge.
Circuit 92, the circuit as it used to be. Can the modern Group A car stand the pace of 400 stage miles? How would the crews operate without pace notes? These are the questions that will be answered in the next 4 days of rallying as the Circuit of Ireland goes back to the future.
As it used to be is how the UAC have billed their return to an event that truly lives up to its name. From Newcastle to Newcastle, the 70-plus competitors will circulate Ireland on a 1,000-mile road route, and 400 of which are high-speed special stages. Day one takes in 12 stages on the way to Waterford, and almost 12 hours on the road for the competitors and hard-worked service crews.
I think really what we have to do is press on fairly hard. At least that's the plan at the moment. I would say a lot of people expect me to go fairly quickly in these stages because they would reckon that I would be fairly familiar with them, but we still have to go fairly quickly and set a pace and just basically see how the other guys are doing behind.
I think the last time that we did the circuit was this long was in '86. That year we were looking at we finished third, and you know, this year I think it's going to be sort of pace ourselves and see who'll be there at the finish or whatever.
I rate them reasonably good. It depends on this weather as well as anything can happen. I mean, there's no one going to predict even a time for the first stage. We could be a minute slower than everyone else. We could be just there on the pace. It's going to be so different to any other rally we've done.
If it stays dry, we'll have to try and keep somewhat in touch with the four-wheel drive supercars in front of us, if we can. And I think the fact that our car is naturally aspirated, we can get myself going. We may not be too far away.
But you just haven't really had any testing with the car, and it's probably going to take a few stages to get into it, you know.
But back to the old circuit that you used to love.
Yes, I hope so, yeah.
Well, 4 days of real hard going.
So it's going to be a really hard rally, yeah.
The 1991 Dunlop Tarmac champion leads the essentially Irish field away from the Newcastle start. On paper, the winner has to come from the 3 four-wheel drive supercars belonging to McKinstry, McHale and Bertie Fisher. But there is a strong secondary batch of entries, like Bill Connolly's considerably lightened BMW, which is now running in Group B form.
If there are any doubts about the severity of this event, Stage 1, Hamilton's Folly, soon puts paid to them. The top runners are all wise to this famous jump, which has provided such spectacular pictures in the past. Inside Bertie Fisher's car, Rory Kennedy reads the stage information off the official marked maps, which could be purchased with the organisers' permission. They may sound like pace notes, but remember that competitors have not been allowed to practice these stages. Both Rory and Bertie remember this jump, however.
Turn square right, don't cut. Fast right over long crest. Fast right over crest and jump. And jump. And caution.
Frank Marr has also been warned, but Davy Greer goes up Hamilton's Folly in the old style. Declan Wilmot will crash heavily on this stage, but amazingly survives with the motor in somewhat battered state. But to James Armstrong in the Mazda RX-3 goes the Hamilton's Folly Aeronautical Award. Difficult territory this to get used to your new car, but Fisher in the Tough Max Subaru is second fastest on stages 1 and 2. McKinstry is on a blistering pace, 28 seconds quicker than anyone on stage 1. And 17 seconds here on stage 2. McHale's in early trouble with a puncture. But Bertie's more than happy with his new car. The two-wheel drive brigade already trail by a minute and a half. Meagher is 5th behind Davy Greer, and Bill Connolly is 6th. Trevor Cathers leads Group N and is 8th fastest on this stage. While Andy Blair and Kevin Booth from Derbyshire get used to the Irish stages. And Mark Carson's Renault looks considerably better than it did in Galway. Stage 3, and the two Subarus have established themselves up front. Fisher has been trying to put a deal together for a legacy for over a year, and now he's aboard his new toy. Again, Fisher sets 2nd fastest time. Richard Hall returns to big-time rallying in a Group N Lancia and lies 2nd to Cathers in the category. And here's Declan Wilmot's scarred Escort still running, but with far from ideal handling.
It's refuelling time at the Lisburn service halt for both machine and man.
It's not all rebounds, is it?
No. Not all, but no, we're quite happy. Settling down with the car and getting the feel of it, you know. First 2 stages, unfortunately, the boys hadn't told me about pushing in the intercooler switch, so we drove the first 2 stages without an intercooler, which...
How does that affect
Well,
it?
it left it down on power, you know, and I said to the boys, and then they saw the intercooler switch wasn't in, so last stage was certainly sharper, and we're quite happy.
Not happy Austin McHale, as this puncture has cost him a lot of time. Not much left of that.
No, it's not a bad tyre. It did 6 miles with a flat wheel, you know. But we're unfortunate. But 4 miles into a 10-mile stage, I didn't flip anything. The wheel went down, so I went cautiously to the end of the stage. We were lucky we didn't drop too much. We dropped a minute and a bit, I'd say, to Bertie and Kenny. I don't know actually how much we dropped, but it's a bad start to the rally overall, you know.
Left 4.
Frank Meagher explains his problems in getting used to the official maps.
Tail left in will be a left 5. It's just trying to get it all back into, like learning something all over again. We did these about 6 or 8 years ago, but it's to trust them is the biggest problem. And to be
But they are very detailed.
They are 100% if you can trust them.
Stage 5 south of Tandragee, and nobody can contain McKinstry. He has been fastest on 4 of the first 5 stages. McHale just can't match the Subaru at present. And Fisher is consistently faster, albeit 14 seconds slower than McKinstry. Maher's flaming Cosworth has now moved up ahead of Greer, as the two-wheel drive boys have a great battle with just 5 seconds between them. Cathers has a 2.5-minute lead in Group N and is an incredible 7th overall. Eamon Boland's rally is coming downhill at the moment, as the Wexford brothers will spend a minute in an Armagh ditch. Jerry Bailey is 2nd in Group N. And Niall Maguire from Monaghan is in the top 10. Now we move on to stage 6, where again the number 1 Subaru sets fastest time. This time 16 seconds quicker than Fisher.
Turn hairpin right.
Rumours of competitors carrying illegal pace notes are rife, but as both Subarus are carrying in-car cameras, that puts them beyond suspicion.
Turn square right.
Fisher looks at home in his new car, and if he is this quick this early, the others have a lot to fear on this long event.
Fast right. Fast left. Fast right over crest.
Austin's Toyota looks nervous on the stages. He will later discover that he is running 2 hard compound tyres. There's no stopping Davy Greer in the champion Crisp's entry, or Cathers, who continues to set Group N times that Group A runners would be proud of. Derek Smith's Cosworth engine escort is 8th overall, but Paddy White is down to 23rd place after early problems. And then there's always the Kamikaze Brigade. Eugene O'Donnell from Donegal. And a highly confused Harry Deland from Cork. Now he's definitely not at pace notes. Now the bad news. Listen to the tough Max Subaru. It's misfiring. Bertie takes up the story.
About 2 miles into Special Stage 7, the car seemed to go off a bank of cylinders and was misfiring very badly through the stage. We finished the stage and got the service, and the mechanics tried various things and eventually discovered after quite a bit of time that it was a camshaft failure. Had seems to have seized in the cylinder head and was holding a valve open, and obviously the car running off cylinder then. So there wasn't really enough time to do anything about it, so it was more or less instant retirement at the end of Stage 7.
Now Austin McHale's coming into home territory as we reach Stage 8 south of Drogheda. He proves it by taking his first fastest time. Meagher is now 3rd, but both David Greer, lying 4th overall, and particularly Bill Connolly, who's 5th, are quicker than him on this stage. The Bolans in their Hertz car are 8th. From north of Dublin to the south of the city in the beautiful Wicklow Mountains, we drop in on one of the greatest tests of them all, Havana. For the first time since the rally started, McKinstry's domination is under threat. As we go inside the Calibre car, the Toyota is closing behind.
It's all okay up here, just jumps.
To this point, Austin was some 4 seconds quicker. But watch those hard-earned seconds evaporate. Still, he's second fastest, 1 second quicker than Meagher. Greer's forestry-style techniques are very evident here. You can see evidence of the Bolans' misadventure as they move up to 7th. Fintan McGrady gives us a bit of that old-time rally religion, as does Niall Maguire before we move on to stages 11 and 12.
In the first day, McKinstry takes 9 fastest times from the 12 stages. But on this one, Austin hits the front for the second time. Bill Connolly has been speeding up as he moves south, and he will move ahead of Greer before Waterford. The Bolans seem to be on rocket fuel. Fintan McGrady's classic style has brought him into the top 10. Trevor Cather's triumphant Group N drive is about to end in tragedy because he's yards away from a major accident. The County Tyrone haulage contractor Sierra is wrecked, but more seriously, he is suffering from back pain, yet the car must be moved off the road. Gordon Noble's concern for his driver is evident. Trevor suffered a broken vertebrae, but fortunately no serious long-term consequences. In the well-supported historic event, Mervyn Johnson and Nigel Fraser lead from Frank Fennell and Edmund Cassidy. Rally preparation expert David Sutton is in this Mark I Lotus Cortina, but the number 1 seat, Max Harvey, has been in the wars. Historic rally cars come in all shapes and sizes. This is Robert McGimpsey's NSU Prince. Sadly, Sean Tracy will not make the finish in his Lancia. And these very modern ladies, Marie Maloney and Catherine Tracy, are enjoying their time warp in a Lotus Cortina.
But day 1 undoubtedly belongs to Kenny McKinstry. The opposition are somewhat stunned by his 3 minutes 9 seconds advantage.
I mean, we've been driving fairly hard. I mean, there's no point in saying that we haven't been taking any chances. We've had a few up on banks and spins and straight ons at junctions and things like that, but I mean, that's only to be expected. A couple of stages earlier on today in the north, we had actually chosen the wrong tyres and we had a few moments in there, but I mean, nothing out of control or nothing dangerous, so, you know, there's a bit more left there.
Now, I know you were very apprehensive about this being a blind rally at the beginning. Are you a little bit more reassured now?
I mean, I've always said that I wanted pace notes and I still want pace notes, but what I will say is that I'm really enjoying the event, and actually coming in the road section, Robbie said, you know, that he was really enjoying doing what he was doing on the maps. So who knows, I mean, could be a thing of the future, this.
The last 2 stages we thought we could go pretty quick, and we had a misfire. Every time we put down the boot, the car would just kick back. But we've changed a lot of electrical parts now, and hopefully it will be okay in the morning.
Colin McRae, what are you doing here?
No, I'm just over having a look and seeing how it's supposed to be done.
It's just that a McRae can't stay away from the Circuit of Ireland, is it?
Well, it's the first time in 16 years since my father's missed the rally, so I thought it would come in his place.
Well, now the cars that you're used to, the Subarus, seem to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, very well. I've just heard that Bertie's retired, which is a bit of a shame, so Kenny seems to be going very well. So I wish he was doing it now. I shouldn't have come here.
Hello there!
Back on the circuit again?
Absolutely, and why not?
Can you remember how many this is?
We think it's 29.
Right.
Well, Sammy Hamill thinks it's 29. I didn't finish 29, but certainly I think it's 29 starts.
Right.
Quite a lot. First time, 1947.
Fantastic.
Oh.
And it's going all right?
Absolutely going great. We think we might be in our class. I mean, we might be leading our class.
Stand back a minute. What's this rather appropriate sponsor?
Well, could I have a better sponsor? Better cause? Help the age. Good charity.
Basically what we have here is a very, very dedicated team to a very, very good driver, a very, very good navigator, a 12-year-old car. I'm glad to see you left the old Subaru behind and come down to us. We have 3 self-employed businessmen. We have a storeman, we have a lady, I don't know what she does, but she's making tea today. We have 2 truck drivers. Everybody has given up their jobs to do this job this weekend.
It's a team effort. Sean March, here's the man that's doing it all.
You've lost your driver.
I've just laid my driver for the time being anyhow.
That's a bit of a snag when you're 9/10 overall.
It's the most peaceful time I had all day. Seeing it gone.
So day 1 of the 1992 Circuit of Ireland ends without Bertie Fisher, but with Kenny McKinstry leading the field, 3 minutes 9 seconds ahead of Austin McHale. Day 2 consists of 7 special stages, all around County Waterford.
The Sunday run was always the traditional short day in the old circuit format, and the UAC have kept with that tradition. Shortly after high noon, the shootout between McKinstry and McHale has truly started. But as our camera has just shown, on a blind rally, danger is always lurking. Kenny still has that 3-minute advantage, but since Dublin, McHale has shown that there is more to come from the Sunday World team.
Turn hairpin left.
As we can see, Kenny is really keeping on the pressure, but Austin has fitted softer compound Dunlops to the Toyota, and he is determined now to narrow that gap. Frank Meagher is a further 2 minutes adrift. On home territory, Meagher must make up some of that leeway. Bill Connolly is less than a minute behind and a real threat. and Davy Greer is only 11 seconds behind the BMW. The Boland brothers are 6th, but with alternator problems. Fintan McGrady is in the top 10. And on the next stage near Stradbally, the competitors encounter a very different type of corner.
Left entry to the chicane. Just don't cut any of this, don't cut any of it.
McHale is most impressive, but gives the bollards a very wide berth. Frank Meagher also treats them with respect. As indeed does Davy Greer. The Mark II escorts somehow seem a little more adventurous, especially Niall Maguire. The circuit is certainly creating its Easter magic, with the crowds out in their thousands as we move on to stage 15 north of Dungarvan.
Into turn square left.
Kenny is not the quickest today, and the Toyota will take a further 5 seconds off the Subaru on this fabulous stage in the Monavula Mountains. Austin is more confident than we've yet seen him in a Toyota. But Marr can't match the four-wheel drive supercars. Bill Connolly is about to hit big trouble in more forms than expected. And that will move David Greer up another place. Also moving up places, the cautiously driven Metro belonging to Ken Colbert. He's 7th. And far from cautious Andy Johnson, who's 9th in the car that won the 79 circuit. This is the Group N leader, Jerry Bailey. While David Parr leads his Group N class.
Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott head down the mountain at high speed on stage 16. Everything's working perfectly in the Subaru, but once again Austin McHale is fastest, clipping another 5 seconds off the leader's advantage. Meagher continues to build the cushion between him and Connolly. But he need not have worried, as shortly the BMW will retire. It's hard to comprehend that only 17 of the 38 stages, not even half, have now been completed, as we learn about another major retirement. The Boland brothers, Eamon and Andrew, have crashed their Hertz Sierra and are out of the rally. As the remaining crews book into Dungarvan service, 43 of the original starters remain. McKinstry reviews the situation.
First 2 stages out this morning, we're going very quickly. Once we come back into service, we decided not to carry on at that pace. We backed off slightly, so Austin has been taking like about half a second, 3/4 of a second a mile off us today, so we're prepared to let him do that till just see what happens after today.
We're cutting down the lead, but there's an awful long way to go. We've got 12 on that last one there, and I don't know what we've taken back overall. I think just 12 and 5 and 7 previous, something like that. But you know, the rally's only half over this evening.
Your team are changing the front shocks here. Is there a problem with them?
I thought the shocks were going a bit soft on that last stage there. There's a lot of jumps and that, but we're just changing them. They're after doing, they did Galway and they did the start of this rally, you know, so they should be about done at this stage.
Certainly no problem keeping your concentration up today. The stages are changing so much. I mean, the last one we started off in the dry, we got up into the middle of the mountain and it was very, very wet and very slippy. And at the bottom of the stage it's bone dry again. So, I mean, it's very, very difficult to make a proper decision. So you're always aware of what's going on.
Then a jump over a bridge.
In in rallying you never can count the chickens. I mean, you really need to be in sort of Banbridge and heading for Castlewell. Then we'll sort of keep our fingers crossed that we can get to the last one, but until then I think that's just the way we'll play it.
But in the Connolly camp there is high drama.
Had to change the differential last night, and we had some problem with the back of the car this morning, and eventually a half shaft broke, and we had to push the car for probably half a mile with the help of spectators, so it stopped us right back. We lost 7 or 8 minutes.
In fact, Bill Connolly has lost a lot more, as he and his co-driver James O'Brien have been disqualified from the rally under Article 3.3b of the regulations, which relates to pace notes.
I think we're 4th or 5th, we're not quite sure, with Bill Connolly. I think he may have had a problem on the last stage where we haven't got his times yet, so we're not quite sure.
He thinks he's dropped out of the top 10.
Right, well, it should be 4th then.
We're sitting happily in third now. We've solved our misfire, which plagued us all yesterday and all this morning until the third stage, when we finally, after changing the computer for the second time, we got it. And it's going fine for the last 3 stages, no problem.
Our plan for the weekend was, as I spoke to you before, to be in the top 10 and do our own thing. And starting to pay off. We started to move up the top 10 now. We could be 5th or 6th overall at the moment.
Today's been grand. We had a bit of problems yesterday in Okavana on the last stage, so we got that sorted, and everything today is going great, thank God.
Now, rallying isn't exactly new to your family, is it?
No, it's not. My dad was rallied for years in a Porsche and Minis and different things like that.
And what's the best he ever did in the circuit?
6th, twice.
You think you can beat that?
Oh, I don't know. There's a long way to go yet.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Stage 19, the last of the day, and all of County Waterford seems to have come out to acknowledge the heroes. For Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott, the lesson on the second day is that as long as there's a McHale still in the rally, you can never be comfortable.
Okay, up here.
Particularly if he's in this type of form. Andy Johnson and Paul Shields have shot up to 7th place. Fintan McGrady and Cyril Whelan are in entertaining 9th. Now Maguire and Sean Walsh, a highly entertaining 8th. And Declan Wilmot and Anthony Nestor are lucky to be there at all after a first stage accident. This is Paddy White and Aidan Moran in their newly converted Group A Cosworth. What did the rally leader think of McHale's second day pace?
It didn't frighten me, but I mean, I just couldn't go any harder. It's just as simple as that. And we were starting to get caught out with a few things that just weren't on the map. And I just decided just to kill it a little bit. So that was basically, I mean, we were still going fairly quickly, but just that wee bit in reserve.
We haven't really increased the pace that much, I don't think. I don't know whether Kenny's maybe slowed down a bit or whatever, but we took up back a bit of time today. I think someplace, I don't know, it's back now to about 2 minutes 40, 45 seconds or thereabouts. And you know, tomorrow it's all to go for still. Half the rally left tomorrow, starting at 3 o'clock.
Before that deadline, there were many stories to be told. And as the Maguire Marauders planned their night out, one Welsh visitor was delighted with his progress.
We're flying in the end, you know.
You do many Irish rallies?
Yeah, I come over about 7 times last year.
Good.
Yeah. I wish I could afford to come more often. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't about Pat finding a sponsorship. And I'm thankful for the people that have sponsored us. Or we wouldn't be here, definitely we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, we're having a very good run today now. I couldn't believe it when I heard we were 9th overall there. And we're first in the class as well.
So you're picking up a place a day at least?
Yeah, but it's hard work.
We'll extend the rally till Thursday and you'll be...
I'll be dead. So, but I have a good service crew here now, you know.
But I just wanted to pass on actually. You see all that old sophisticated computerized suspension stuff, all that old crap. Our 12-year-old car today needed a part. Our 14-year-old car today needed a partner, and this is the God's truth.
That's right.
We went up a farmyard to a farmyard in the middle of Waterford and asked him would he have a distributor. By any slim chance would he have a distributor for a 2000 Tinto overhead cam, and he says yes, no problem. And he fleeced me. I had to give him £15 for it then.
The historic entries continue to please the crowds. Although hidden from publicity by their place at the end of the field, the drivers like Mervyn Johnson and Frank Fennell really do enthrall the spectators. Mervyn had the early lead, but he will swap places with Fennell after a gentle roll. Drexel Gillespie is third. And Drew Wiley is really giving his little imp some stick. Number 1 seed Max Harvey is still going after making contact with something solid. And in H8 is twice former circuit winner Adrian Boyd. The ladies are represented by Marie Maloney in the Barham Hard Lotus Cortina and Gabrielle Koenig in her Austin A40, which she shares with Chris McNally. And so day 2 comes to a close with the promise of a great battle between the two Macs in the morning. After 19 stages, the circuit is certainly the way it used to be, warts and all, with the old illegal notes controversy raising its ugly head again.
Day 3, the start of the sting in the tail for the Circuit of Ireland, the long run up through Galway to Sligo. Monday afternoon and the push for home begins. McKinstry is the hare, McHale the hound. And Meagher the local hero as he travels towards Clonee with the countryside out to cheer him. Davy Greer, a long way from home, cannot hope to make up time here. And Ken Colbert's super cautious approach in this rally is still evident. A handbrake turn is essential at this hairpin, as Derek Smith tries to demonstrate. Andy Johnston gets it just right. You can see how deranged Declan Wilmot's front suspension is in this shot. Nice one, Finton. And some serious stuff from Mr. James. And James Armstrong in that oddball Mazda is going fine. David Parr's not too good on the handbrake. He should take a lesson from Liam Brady. Slieve Namon, famed for its beauty and immortalised by the song. Today it provides the backdrop to a stage on which its local resident will star. Kenny McKinstry leads us into a particularly tricky spot on Meagher's Mountain.
Fast left, fast right. That's it.
Impressive, certainly.
Okay, up along here.
As is Austin McHale. But no one compares. Not even Davy Greer. The long circuit was introduced to encourage the privateers, and amongst the more elderly machinery, there are some great battles.
McKinstry's Subaru still leads, but Frank Marr has been 15 seconds quicker on Slieve Namon than anyone else. But now we're moving northwest and away from his territory.
Okay. And it's a long, fast right over crest 40, turn to hairpin left.
Special stage 23 is south of Nina, and it's the scene of the next big drama.
That's it. Maybe gravel.
Kenny's lead is being gradually stretched again. Apart from Slieve Namon, he's set the fastest time on the other three stages of the day. McHale arrives in a big hurry, but his temperature gauge is off the clock. Marr is okay on the stage, will get lost in the road section and incur penalties, dropping him back into the clutches of David Greer. Ken Colbert seems healthy enough. David Smith struggles off the stage, his clutch completely inoperative. But the escorts of Maguire and McGrady are still going strong. So too the Group N BMW of Jerry Bailey.
All okay on the map. Right, IGF here. That's it. Oh, really enjoyable, that wasn't it?
At Nina's service for McKinstry, it's just routine maintenance. Everything's going according to plan.
Just a spanner check of the rear diff. Torsion bars and gearbox mountings just to make sure out for the next stage.
You ever found anything wrong in there?
Not a thing, everything's perfect.
Probably like 3:20, 3:30 maybe now. The first stage this morning, I think Austin made a wrong tyre choice. We took back half a minute, so that we took back more really than what we had lost yesterday in one stage, so we're fairly happy.
Now what about the long night ahead?
For sure, I mean, it's all ahead of us, as you say. Another two or three maybe stages into Galway, and then a couple of hours rest and then into the proper rally.
Derek Smith's in big trouble, and once again the Ashgrove Interparts crew have a crisis on their hands.
The clutch slate cylinder's gone, so they had to take the gearbox out to change that.
So how long is that going to take them?
Probably 25 minutes. Hopefully they can do it in that time. We don't get any penalties. So we're at the last stage with no clutch whatsoever. So hopefully they can do it.
As the Ashgrove mechanics struggle to keep their car in the rally, co-driver Dara Cafferty reports on some problems Frank Maher's having.
But when we came off the stage, Frank had come off the stage just ahead of us. When we came into service there, they said that he hadn't arrived yet. And yet we didn't see him on the road anywhere. There was some talk of a turbocharge having blown, and they'd gone in off the road to start the work on it so they could continue when they come in here. But as yet he hasn't shown up, so he's looking at maybe 5 or 10 minutes late at this stage as it is.
In fact, Maher's main problem has been a mistake in navigation between stages.
To the Silverman instead of turning right, we missed the signpost for the Forestry Park, and we just had 90 seconds slow penalties in court on us.
Right, so has that done anything to the overall position?
No, it didn't do anything to the overall position, but just that we have to go a little bit harder now and keep the pressure on. We don't want to have any problems. We're going nicely as we are, but just one of these things.
Now for the big news from Nina. Austin McHale is in trouble. The GT4 is far from healthy.
On the Schlieve-Le-Mans stage, we developed a misfire. And on that last stage, that were just before service here, the water temperature went off the clock, went up to 120 degrees. So we eased off for the last 4 or 5 miles of it, and we're hoping that we haven't done any damage to the engine. We're changing sensors now and trying to trace the problem, but what we're worried about is the damage we might have caused.
Austin is beyond words. His Sunday World supercar is sick, very sick. Not so the Group N leader, Jerry Bailey, whose BMW is running like clockwork.
Generally, we're still keeping a 3-minute lead on Ricky Hall in the Indegrali, and as long as we can do that, I think we'll be quite happy.
What about this long night ahead? Are you looking forward to that?
I don't know about looking forward to it, but certainly there's no trepidation now. I mean, we'll have a good bash along with everybody else.
Everybody else except Austin McHale, whose Toyota problems are looking terminal. And Kenny Colbert, who despite his cautious approach, will shortly retire with transmission failure. This will promote Derek Smith up 2 places, so there's a desperate struggle against the clock to keep the Cosworth engined Mark II Escort in the rally.
took the gearbox out, and then we took the bell housing out, and the seals were gone in a hydraulic clutch release bearing. Took it out, put seals in it, and put washers behind it to space it out a bit more, because what had happened was it had come right out, and the fluid had leaked out of it, and that's what had happened as the clutch wore. So it's back in, it should be 100%. So we'll just check it in the next service and hope everything's all right.
One problem solved, but the same cannot be said for the Toyota GT4, which has been frantically worked on off the road.
Not looking good. We've had a major electrical problem all morning, and there in the last stage, about 2 miles, 3 miles at the end of it.
It's all over, and the look on Austin's face tells it all, as he once again turns away from another chance of winning his most coveted prize, the Circuit of Ireland.
The rally goes on, and it would seem to be a gift now for McKinstry as the opposition crumbles and his only enemies become distance, concentration and reliability.
And then a long, fast right. Long, fast right.
Seem to have lost Austin McHale about 2, maybe 3 stages back, and the second last stage was cancelled. I don't think they had a doctor on it or something like that. So I think at the moment we have about a 7-minute lead. I think the next 2 stages out, they're the longest stages of the rally. One of them's a 17-miler, and just to keep your concentration on that is definitely going to be very hard.
But at the Galway halt, there's an ominous screech from the Subaru's clutch.
We're not in any trouble from a time point of view, but I mean anything can happen to the car. I mean, it's one of those technical devices that can go wrong.
The car's good now.
The car's not too bad at the moment.
Any problems with it?
Well, we've problem with the clutch at the moment, but we'll get that sorted out in service.
At the end of the 3rd day, McKinstry's dream of a first ever circuit win is still looking good. But now it's lights on and into a night of cruel stages in the west. The sting in the tail, like it used to be on the Circuit of Ireland. But suddenly, Kenny's underplayed clutch problem becomes a major setback. Witness, with the Calibre crew, the dying moments of their momentous drive. The clutch change left them late, but still in the rally.
What happened? That's it. What's gone? Turbo. Okay. Can we run without it?
At the end of the Loch na Fui stage, the turbo has gone. Normally a problem that can be rectified, but this time a lot of oil has gone with it, and to drive on would damage a very expensive engine. All that are left are the memories of some magic moments from McKinstry.
So, out of the night comes the new leader, Frank Meagher. It's a sensational change, which also promotes Davy Greer to 2nd. Good fortune for some, but a broken heart for Andy Johnson, who had climbed as high as 5th. The HSR Chevette is very sick. And now he will have to bear the indignity of a rope to tow him back to Belfast. Andy, it doesn't look good, that.
No, I'm afraid we blew a head gasket, so we did.
What, just from the last stage?
Yes, the one before last, just at the end of it. So we limped here, and really we're out.
End of a very good run.
Well, it was fun, so it was. But
there are 6 stages still to go, almost as long as some British Championship events. So it's a final check before the Duckham's Cosworth is on the road again and heading for victory. Davy Greer nearly comes to grief on this one, but survives to take a very satisfying 2nd place. At last, Derek Smith's grief seems to be behind him, and he will finish an excellent 3rd to win his class. Now Maguire is 4th and wins class 11. And Cyrus James is 5th in the Manta 400. Fintan McGrady is 6th overall, and Jerry Bailey and Don Wilmot take 7th and Group N. Roger Kennedy is 8th and wins Class 3, and Pat White and Aidan Moran recover to 9th place. And David Parle and Michael Carlisle complete the top 10.
Winner of Class 1 is that marvellous veteran Ernest McMillan, who completes his 29th circuit, but would also like to have taken part in the Dundrod retrospective later on in the afternoon. Desi McGlade was his co-driver. Motoring news editor David Williams and Martin Pike win Class 2. John Hunt and Louis Stevens take Class 5. Patrick O'Connor and Colm Doherty are the Class 9 winners, while John O'Leary and Robert Hark win Class 10. And by some kind of miracle, Eugene O'Donnell survives to win Class 15.
Now the historic runners roar round Dundrod. The winners are Frank Fennell and Edmund Cassidy, the pairing that did so well in the Pirelli Classic last summer. For Frank, it's a step back in time from his normal Group M Cosworth, but he's obviously enjoying it. Mervyn Johnson and Nigel Fraser's Riley Elf shows little effects of that roll, which probably cost them the rally. Drexel Gillespie and Maurice Beckett are outgunned by the Minis this time. But Drew Wiley and Michael Orr were real giant killers in their little 1000cc in. David Sutton returned to the wheel to take 5th place. And Max Harvey's Porsche was not quite so pretty when it finished. Derek Parling tried to the end in his Sunbeam Imp. And twice Circuit of Ireland winner Adrian Boyd, along with son Jonathan, brought their A40 to a Group A win. Stephen Clark won Group C in his Vauxhall. And Robert Majimsey, well, he just entertained.
Back at the Slieve-Donard Hotel, where it all began 4 days ago, a stunned Frank Marr and Micheál Meagher glide to the victory arch, the first Irish drivers to win the circuit since 1984. It's a just reward for an under-financed team who have won numerous national events, but never a round of the Dunlop Tarmac Championship.
I still don't believe it, but as soon as I finish with the Group A check, I'll be satisfied to have won the Circuit of Ireland.
And what exactly does it mean to you now to have won this premier event?
I believe that Frank and Michael...
It's so hard to say. I suppose it'll be great recognition out of it, number one. I mean, anyone that asks about knows nothing, as I say, about rallying, they'll ask, or the Circuit of Ireland. At least you can say now you've won the Circuit of Ireland. Like Billy Coleman won it last, Irishman won it in '84. Austin McHale and Bertie Fisher have been trying so hard for the last 10, 15 years to win it.
And is it the fulfilment of a lifetime's ambition for you in some ways?
Absolutely, totally.
For Frank and his family, who are all involved in rallying efforts, Easter 1992 will long be remembered. The Waterford Crystal Trophy is carried in triumph back to Tipperary.
Frank Meagher not only wins the circuit, but he also goes to the top of the Dunlop Tarmac Championship table with a useful 12-point lead over McKinstry.
Confident of a top 3 finish. Your red lights are on.
Just getting used to this camera.